dot, clarity about this. You have to judge everybody, every single person to judge favorably. Even a person who's very bad, who's done bad things, who's a criminal, who's like a committed criminal, who's a hardened criminal, you have to judge him on the scale of merit. You have to find some good in that person. Because in that little piece of good, that little space there, that they did something once for their mother, or they did something once for somebody else, they have that good spot. They're not a Rasha in that place. They're not an evil man. And the word Rasha is very interesting in Hebrew. It has the word, it's the letters Resh, Shin, Ayin. Resh, Shin, Ayin. Rasha, the wicked man, right? And the Tanakh mentions such a thing all over, and especially in Tehillim. The Rishaim and the Tzaddikim, it's like these the two twains shall never meet. It's not true. Every tzaddik has a little bit of Rasha, and every Rasha is a tzaddik. Meaning to say there's no such thing as anything pure. It's all intermixed. And then particularly the word Rasha is almost like it has the letters Resh and Ayin at the extremities, which means Ra, evil, and the Shin in the middle. And the Shin in the middle represents the Ish, the person. He's got trapped in the Ra. He's got trapped in doing things, and now people identify him as Ra, and he identifies himself as Ra. We can still kill the Ish out of the Ra. He doesn't have to be a Rasha. Rabbi Nachman was talking about that here. By finding the good point in another person, the good point, you can build on that, and you can bring him out of it. A person who's done terrible things, it takes somebody special to do this. We have to learn how to do this. And it's obviously, we won't have to deal with extreme cases. But even in an extreme case, a person is a hardened criminal. So you sit with that criminal, and you go and you talk to him. Try and find what is the good. And you'll find that he really wanted to be good. He really wanted, so you build on that. You go into that. You really wanted to be good. Well, what happened? Well, they hit me. They beat me. They made me feel like I was no good. And I wanted to get back at them, right? So he's telling his story, right? So you go into that story and find that incredible light that was there, that got smashed, that got smothered, that got hurt. And you can revive that person out of feeling a hate. Basically, a Rasha hates himself. He doesn't feel any mercy for himself, and he doesn't want any mercy from God, and he can't have mercy in anybody else. He hates mercy. Why? Because he feels that he's not worthy. So you can, by finding the good point in that person, and I'm dealing with the extreme case on purpose, you find the good point in that person, you can bring that person back to life. You mean I'm not so bad? You mean all those things I did was not because I'm evil? No, you're not. You did bad things, and you have to pay for them. And you're accountable. But you are not bad. You can save somebody's life. And of course, this is the extreme. So if you're dealing with somebody who's not even there yet, somebody who's only done a few wrong things, all the more so that you can find the good. And this is where Rabbi Nachman says, if you do this in this way, you actually bring him from kafho, which is demerit, which is guilt. You bring him to merit. You can have him come and return to himself and return to Hashem. And then Rabbi Nachman goes on and he brings the verse. The verse is from Tehillim 37, Psalm 37. He brings a proof verse. Ve'od me'at ve'en rasha. I really should, if I had a Tehillim here, I'd bring you the verses that lead up to it. But first I don't need it. Ve'od me'at ve'en rasha. In a little while, the simple meaning of ve'od ma'at, od ma'at, just like in regular Hebrew, od ma'at. When somebody asks you a favor, od ma'at, just in a minute. Give me a second. I'll do it for you in a second. Ve'od ma'at. But here it's not going to mean that. Here it's ve'od ma'at ve'en rasha. Ve'ibonanta al mikomo ve'enenu. So he learns this verse in a profound way. Od ma'at, if you find the ma'at tov, just a little bit of the good in that person, ve'en rasha. He's not bad anymore. You thought he was just a bad person. But he's not. He got caught. He got entrapped. He got entangled. But it's not him. And then he began to believe it. But we can free him from that. We can free him from that. And we're going to get to how we do it with ourselves in a second. No, I don't want to look at it right now. So he says, if you find the Od Ma'at, then all of a sudden you find that there's no... You thought there was a bad person sitting in front of you. It's not. Because you found the good. V'itbonatan, you look deeply. Al Mekomo. You look deeply on this person's place where he was a minute ago and where he is now. Ve'enenu. The guy that I thought was there in front of me, the bad guy, is not a bad guy anymore. It's giving you a very amazing thing here of looking how to look at another person. But you have to look. You have to look. You have to work to do this. צריך אתה לחפש ולבקש למצוא בו מעט טוב, ששם אינו רשע. You have to find the good. And in that place where there's good, that place, that person is not bad. And then he says, you know what? You have to do this with yourself. That's a little bit harder for some of us. וכן צריך האדם למצוא גם בעצמו. And so also each one of us has to find in ourselves. כי זה ידוע שצריך אדם לזהם מאוד להיות בשמחה תמיד. והרחיק העצבות מאוד מאוד. It's really an important principle that you have to find the good in yourself. If you find yourself constantly playing a negative tape, if you find yourself always falling into I'm no good, it's really what's called the shadow. It's the voice that speaks from behind or beneath the threshold of consciousness. You're no good. You can't do it. You're not going anywhere. You're ours. You belong to us, to the negative forces. Everything you've done proves it. You're no good. Right? That's the voice. I was just, we had my 31st anniversary, my wife and I. We got married in New York 31 years ago. And our kids made us a surprise Motzei Shabbat, Milava Malka. They fooled us. Even the grandchildren that were biased for Shabbat, my two little granddaughters, they didn't let on. Amazing. We didn't know. I'm so surprised. Anyway, the next day we went to the Kotel. So we got a nice parking space. It's very hard. We're walking down towards the Kotel, and my wife says, 31, like, Gematria 31, low, no. What kind of a gematria is that? So I said, no, wait a second. No, this Yoshua had to fight 31 kings. 31 kings. It's a famous thing. 31 kings. Because kings in those days, or whatever, chieftains, they were from Europe and Africa and Asia and all these. They all had a villa here in Israel. They all wanted a little piece of Israel. Israel was always special. Israel was always a place that people coveted. The 31 kings are the 31 no's. When you come to Israel, you can't be here. This is not your place. You can't live here. You won't make it here. You see it all over the place. The bus drivers sometimes, the bank clerks, especially when you're trying to buy a house in Israel. Oh, it's like going to Gehenna. But it's all the no's, all the nays. No, you can't do it. I said to my wife, we just passed 31, and we got to 32. And we're going right now to the Kotel, to 32, to the heart. We're going to the heart. We bypassed, we did it. We got past the 31. We're in a new stage in our lives now. And so the plan behind it is that when you confront all those no's, and you stop believing them, then you come to El, which is Koach, power. You come to your power, and of course you come to El, which is Hashem's Chesed. Chesed El Kol Hayom. So I said, come on. So it was just become so obvious that it was like Gracie Allen and George Burns. Like she said, what's good about 31? And all of a sudden all this came out about how good 31 is. So I bless you all that you should all come to Israel and bypass all the 31 and go straight to the Lamed Beit, to the left.